These horsemen ride with the fist down inside, with heads like thunder, the rock of your pride. We'll have no mercy for big, far and wide.
What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? How's it going? Welcome back to the Whiskey Chaser channel. My name is Chase. We are here on the streets of New York City, riding bikes. Here's a gorgeous day out today. It's absolutely wonderful. September really hit us hard at the very beginning, but it's been lovely the past couple of days. Nice 75 to 80 degree weather, clear skies. It's been wonderful. How are you? It's been a while. It hasn't been a while. It's been a week. Oh, homie. Yeah, right there. Well, regardless of how long it's been a week. It's been more than a week. It's been months. It's literally been minutes because you watched another video and now YouTube recommended this one to you. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This FedEx truck is a perfect segue into this video today. What we're going to do is drive around, look at stuff, see all the craziness that's happening in the world, like this person who's trying to back up on a one-way street. The reason why I wanted to make this video today is because you've probably seen me riding around in the streets of New York City. I've talked about it a little bit, but we haven't actually talked about the specifics of the special sets of rules and regulations that we need to follow in order to drive around this city. Because I've had a lot of people who will tell me as soon as I say, oh yeah, you know, we're from New York, we drive our motorcycles and all this, whatever that is. Man, I can't believe you would do that. I feel so intimidated. I feel like it would be really scary, and there's so many people, and I don't know if I'd be able to drive, and all this, you know, whatever, that kind of stuff. And yeah, you know, it is intimidating to drive out here, and there are special rules and all kinds of stuff like that, but I wanted to go through some of those rules and talk about them and just kind of help with this stigma that it's difficult to drive in this city and all kinds of stuff like that, because I believe that anybody can. Clint's some Ohio guy. You may have seen him on a live stream with me. He's coming out in a couple of weeks, and he's just driving his Pan America out here, and we're going to be going back and forth between Brooklyn and Queens and Manhattan and all over, and it's going to be great. It's going to be a fun time, and he's never driven out here before, so he'll have to abide by these special rules, and I wanted to go over kind of some of those and just kind of talk about driving in the city. So, jumping right into it. Right now, we are on the FDR. It's kind of like the highway of Manhattan. There's two highways. One's on the east side, one's on the west side. FDR is the east side, the west side highway is the west side. They go all the way around the islands in a complete, pretty much circle, and it allows you to kind of get up and down a little bit faster than you normally would. The reason why I wanted to jump on this, you've probably seen me on this highway a lot, it's because I live on the east side, so it's easy for me to get over to the FDR. But if I need to drive on the west side, I will drive up or down the west side highway as well. It allows you to get around a little bit faster than normal. Sometimes though, it's not faster. Sometimes it is faster to take the city streets. The city of New York, all 5 boroughs, has a special set of rules for driving. The city-wide speed limit is 25 miles an hour unless otherwise noted. So here on the FDR, on the West Side Highway, the speed limit can go anywhere from 35 to 55, just really kind of depending on where you are. And you will see those speed limits posted. But anytime you don't see a speed limit posted, it's 25 miles an hour. If you're driving on the city streets, it's 25 miles an hour. Going back and forth, left, right, up, down, anywhere where there's traffic lights, pretty much, it's going to be 25. But here we can go a little bit faster as long as traffic allows it, and there's also no lights. So I usually will go from the about upper middle part of the island down to the lower part of the island in about 5 or 6 minutes if there's no traffic to light traffic. If there's heavy traffic, it may take as many as 25 minutes up to an hour. Really kind of just depends. This is all relative, basically, to the time of day, whether there's commuters, people coming in, out. Luckily, I travel mostly during the afternoon and such, so it's not that bad. You do definitely have to keep your head on a swivel out here, watching everybody all the time. People who are born here, who drive here, only know how to drive here. And I know that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but if you think about it, somebody who's born in New York City and who gets their license in New York City learns how to drive from the people of New York City. Like this guy, he had one blinker that it was just blink and then he pulled over. It's pretty typical out here. People who don't know how to use their lights, people who just drive around and they're literally honking their horn just burp, 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 burp as they're going. Like, hey, I'm gonna be driving, so you better get out of my way type situation. It's very aggressive driving. It's not defensive at all. So you kind of got to watch out for that kind of stuff. But other than that, it's pretty simple. When we get off the highway here, I'll talk about some of the street rules because the streets always win.
Thing about street fights, the street always wins.
There are some different rules basically that you kind of have to follow. As a motorcycle rider, there are a little bit more than normal. For instance, if I'm driving, I have to have a helmet on. It doesn't matter if it's a full face, a half, whatever. I just have to have a helmet that's DOT approved, and I have to have eye protection. Whether that be a face shield, whether that be sunglasses or riding glasses or anything like that, those are required. That's the specificities of the city. We also have to get our vehicles inspected every year, just like most places. They have to be registered, obviously. And whenever I'm riding on this highway, I always put my blinkers on way in advance, and I turn my head both ways. I look in my mirrors, I watch. There's like this Camry right here. I could go ahead of him, and normally if I was like on a road in Texas, I probably would have pulled up ahead of him. But I'm going to slow down because I don't know how good or bad of a driver this person is. I don't know if they're going to be aggressive or defensive. This sounds like it's meaningless because you should be doing that for everyday riding, but it's a little bit more here that you have to like watch out for, just because it's people who they're slow but they're fast at the same time. So as we pull off here onto, I think, 25th Street, we'll talk about some of the street driving rules.
The street always.
Can you just shut the fuck up for 30 seconds?
As with most states, New York is not a lane splitting state. You will see lots of bikes going through, coming up like the shoulder here, trying to get ahead to the light. I don't really have a problem with it as long as you're doing it safely, but the city of New York says it's illegal, so pigeons. If you were in all 5 boroughs, that is Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, or Staten Island, there's no right turn on red. Right up there, if you're making a right onto First Avenue, you literally do have to sit there and wait for that light to turn green. As I said before, the non-posted speed limit for the city is 25 miles an hour, so as we go across the island right now, we will only be able to go 25 miles an hour legally. Most streets out here are one way. There are a few that are two-way streets, but most of them are one way, most of them are one lane. So if you have somebody who is going to stop up here, it may take a while to get around. As a matter of fact, I think we are going to turn here. We'll go up and around because that looked like it was a mess back there. So this is us on the city streets. We are going up First Avenue. As we go through Manhattan, it'll be First Avenue all the way over to 12th Avenue. Mostly. There are a couple of other streets and stuff, but that's mostly the case. And then it'll start way back there. As we go up the streets, the numbers will increase all the way up to 200 and something. I can't remember where. This will happen a lot right here, where people will just pull over, put their flashers on, and just sit there. Just freaking sit there. There we go. Great. Good job, buddy. All right, so now we're on 33rd Street. This is a 2-lane street. One east, one west. Lots of double parking here. As we talked about in the last video, there are signs posted everywhere on where you can and cannot park. However, if you just pull over, put your flashers on, one person stays in the car. Typically, traffic cops won't mess with you, or they'll just come up and say, hey, you gotta move, that kind of thing. All right, so we made it around going down 2nd Avenue now. The streets in Manhattan, it'll be like 1st Avenue goes north, 2nd goes south, 3rd goes north, 4th, well, there's not really a 4th Avenue. There is, but it's really small. 5th will go south, 6th goes north, 7 goes south, blah, blah, blah. And then alternately, typically the streets will go east and west, alternating all the way up. Sometimes, however, you run into a street like 33rd where, you know, there's a 2-way for a little bit. So this is us driving. As you go to these like major streets up here, 14th Street, 23rd Street, 34th Street, 42nd Street, the big movement streets, sometimes they are specifically for like commercial or buses. 14th Street, it goes east and west. It's very big. It's got multiple lanes, but it's only for commercial trucks and buses in a certain point. So if you're riding a regular registered vehicle, you will get a traffic violation via camera. Ask me how I know. So as you can see, it's not super difficult. It's not. Keep your head on a swivel, watch where you're going, watch where other people are going, drive defensively, should be all good. Knowing where you're going is kind of a big deal. One time I was going east to west, I was trying to get to the west side, and I turned right up here on 15th Street. I'm like, oh yeah, turn on 15th, it'll go all the way down. Nope. 15th Street runs right into Union Square Park, and you can't drive through Union Square Park. I had to end up going down, go around, all this blah blah blah. It was a big pain in the butt. Right now I know that if I go down 13th Street, which we'll turn on right now, it'll go all the way around. This is the bus lane right here. Typically the bus lane is for buses, but it's also your right turn lane. So you're not allowed to drive in the bus lane, obviously, unless you are pulling into it to make a right turn, which once again, you cannot make a right on red, so you would need to sit there and wait. Going north to south on the avenues is pretty easy. Typically, as you go along, the lights will line up and you'll be able to go from light to light to light to light, and it'll turn green. Kind of forces you to stay in that 25-ish mile per hour zone, because that's how fast you can really go in order to catch the lights. Going east to west though is a lot more difficult, and the lights don't line up. Plus there's a lot of people, there's only one lane on a one-way. We'll end up running into a lot of traffic here. I guarantee you that as we go along over here, we'll probably hit this red light or another red light, and then there will be a line of cars that are going to just be waiting. The traffic is, you see, it's so bad that even at that green light, people just weren't moving, and now we caught the red. There are bike lanes on some streets that are painted into the streets, typically green, but sometimes it's just a white strip with the bicycle. But that doesn't mean that there's always going to be a bike lane, and that means you have to share the road with bicyclists, which you should anyway. There's always freaking trucks and stuff parked in them too, so the bicyclists half the time aren't even able to ride in the bike lane. Most of the time people stop at crosswalks, but sometimes they don't. You gotta watch out for people. Yeah, there's people who just walk right out in the middle of the street. They're like, I don't give a fuck, you can hit me. Green light and stopped again. This is a great demonstration of how much more difficult it is to get across town, especially in Manhattan, because we went on the FDR 5 minutes. We went, even though we had to take a little bit of a detour, it took no time to get from 33rd Street on 2nd Avenue to 13th Street on 2nd Avenue. Easy, fast. The difficult part is when we got onto 13th Street trying to go across town, and I've done a little bit of research. This is one of the fastest ways to get across town. So, yes, it is a little bit more challenging to drive or ride in New York City. A little bit. You do have a couple of special rules that you have to follow. The non-posted speed limits, signs, no turning on red, etc. But I think that anybody could do it. When I first moved here, I was pretty intimidated. I didn't really want to ride and get hit anybody, anything like that. As time goes along though, you learn how to do it. It's not too bad. Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, they're all very similar. A little bit more open. The streets are sometimes a little bit bigger, but the same kind of rules apply, and people will literally just pull over and park in the middle of nowhere for no reason. And I'll tell you that this really beats the train, especially on days like today. It is gorgeous out, feels wonderful. Probably would have taken me 40 or so minutes on the train to get over here into the West Village where we are. Basically, we went catty corner to where we were, and I would have had to sit on the train with a bunch of people. Who knows what kind of people are on the train these days. It cost me less money to drive out here today, and then I'll be able to get home faster as well because I won't have to wait on a train or anything like that. Tell me what you think. Hope that this was insightful. I hope that people like it, see what it's like to drive in New York City. You can do it. Come visit me. Let's go drive. If you're new here, my name is Chase, this is Whiskey Chase channel. We do motorcycle related content in and around New York City. Please do me a favor. If it's your first time here, make sure that you subscribe. And if it's not your first time here and you were returning, thank you so much. I love you. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment down below, like how I did that while I was pulling in over here to park. Ooh. Made it. Whew. Alright, everybody. See you later. Peace. Well, just pulled up next to this thing. Like, what's this dude doing? Just driving his Lambo around on a Tuesday night. Well, that'll be something fun to put at the end of the video.